Jair, welcome to Stories in AI. Excited to have you here.
Hello, Ganesh. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And I want to say thank you for the invitation.
No, it's a pleasure. I first ran into you, of course, through LinkedIn and common connections, but then I read your one of the books that you wrote on AI, especially how do you teach young children about AI, robotics, machine learning to prepare them for a different tomorrow. So that's how I got to know you, and I've been following your journey ever since. And I always wanted to have this conversation to get a little bit behind, understand your personal story, and understand how you view the world, if you will, right? So why don't you start by telling us your personal story? How did you get into AI? And also start from the very beginning, right? Wherein you're a world traveler. You describe yourself as a citizen of the world. You've been living abroad since 1998. So give us that background and dive us into how did you get into AI? What attracted you?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. I think it's a great way to start. Well, as you mentioned, I'm Brazilian. I was born in Brazil, close to Rio de Janeiro in 1976. And when I was around 20 years old, I moved to have the opportunity to move to Italy, where I build my career, start to build my career in IT. In artificial intelligence specifically, I started in the beginning of 2015, around with when I was working with Hewlett-Packard in Milano, and was the initiation of knowledge about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Until I have a great opportunity to work with IBM in Poland in 2016. That's really opened absolutely a lot of doors for this field of artificial intelligence with IBM Watson and everything. And in these years, I've been consolidating my passion, because I really must say that I work with AI, but I believe in this technology as a way, as a tool to really make amazing things for companies and for people in general. So this is the goal, that anything that I try to do with artificial intelligence, it's really to be a central, or a human-centered artificial intelligence. And in Volvo Group, I have now that I work now as a business analyst for the artificial intelligence, I have the opportunity to really touch this mission of making artificial intelligence for people. This is amazing opportunity.
That is awesome. And I like to say we all had Watson to thank for many reasons, right? IBM Watson. One, it really popularized the concept of artificial intelligence, playing Jeopardy and playing chess, and really brought it to the forefront, right? Got it from just to Hollywood to pop culture to a little bit, right? On the other hand, like you, I had my start in AI. After my initial days at big data and stuff like that, I actually worked with a group of people who were the original founding team of IBM Watson, commercializing Watson within IBM, and they got out and started a company called Cognitive Scale, where I ran growth for a few years. And that was an amazing experience to learn from all their lessons, and also by definition Watson's lessons too, right? Because they shaped and also got into some trouble in the market by overhyping it and so forth. But we all still have IBM Watson to thank for. So tell us a little bit about, and I want to get directly into, before we go into Volvo and AI and practice and stuff, I want to touch upon some topics that I thought was uniquely you, right? I mean, your books were all focused on how do you train the next generation of leaders. As a father of three daughters, right, you mentioned, how do you view the world? How do you view the world when just turning more and more intelligent, and a combination of machines and humans and living and non-living? When we have like social media, the impact of engagement solutions, and how the hive mind of the internet can really shape things, and intelligence in many forms can really shape the landscape. How do you view this powerful technology of artificial intelligence into the future as a father of three kids?
It's absolutely I'm fascinated about this, but I'm also concerned about some very aspects of this as well. My daughters, they have today 13 years old, and 3 years old, and 1 year and a half. So I can imagine when they will have 20 years old, how these aspects of data, decisions that are being taken by algorithms today, and of course the overwhelming amount of information they will have to deal in their lives every day. So I started to really think about how it's going to be the world, and how it's going to be the world where, in particular, when how they will deal with is very human things about connection with people, work every day, how they going to work. So I start to think about this. I start to understand that even a lot of jobs that they will have, probably we have no idea that will be today. We have no still idea on how they will really communicate with people. For example, I always say that my first daughter, probably she will have a driver's license, but my youngest probably no. Why? Because the cars will be autonomous cars when she will be 18, 20 years old. So this is going to change from very important things that we maybe for us it's our really we give for rent today. So I start to collect my thoughts about this, and at the end, with as a father, because I only 13 years old experience as a father, so it's not a quiet experience, but I have more than 15 years in experience in IT, and many years in artificial intelligence. So I'm trying to imagine the future for my daughters with the heart of a father, but with the skills and the experience of a professional. So I understood that if parents understand better this technology today, they will be more, they will have better tools to understand and maybe to help the kids on the future of AI, robotics, also developing application, etc. So you don't need to be a master, a PhD on these topics, but it's a good thing that you have the basics to understand, because this is the future of of our children.
And talk to us about the books that you wrote. So you have 2 or 3 books, and each of them breaks things down. I really enjoyed that book around teaching. For the fathers, it was focused for the parents, not just the fathers. But yeah, talk to us about the books.
Well, I've been really busy this last period, really sharing a lot of experience and sharing knowledge about artificial intelligence in general. Because my focus in AI, it's really to simplify the concepts. I want to take the most complex concepts of AI and machine learning to more a simple and affordable language. So when I start to write the book for parents, my idea is so I'm writing for parents that are not from the IT environment, that are not PhD in machine learning. They are guys from every day that are really desperate on understand this technology that everybody is talking, and explaining what it's possible to do and what's going to change. And recently, I wrote with one very big and special friend that she's a PhD in neuroscience. I just wrote and published a book called Terminator Paradox that talks about one aspect of AI that I'm really focus on explain. It's about the fear of this technology. So together with my friend Mariana, we break down the topics about how people and why people have fear about AI. You will start to talking about IBM Watson, uh, about how Watson create the view of AI in many people. But another thing that we should consider, the Terminator movie make a big disservice for AI. because a lot of people sometimes think about AI something that will destroy the world, something that will take over like Skynet and everything. So AI in the office that we are working and AI in the products that we are talking, it's not absolutely not this. So I wrote a book really to start to break down this problem, take the hype a little bit down on this and explain things how it should be.
It's fascinating. You say Terminator Paradox. That's a great way to say it. And I've been telling this to folks too. I mean, I believe that the narrative for AI outside of IBM Watson was primarily led by the Hollywood movie industry, right? And so, alarmist messages, just like you see in media, it sells better. So that's how people got into that. Now, that said, I mean, there's a few things that I think of when I think about, people's general fear on artificial intelligence. One is the narrative being driven by Hollywood, although the positive thing of that is there is awareness being created of intelligent non living things that can then be explored and exploited to do good things for the society. Number one. Number two, I think the idea of AI is actually generally two different ideas, right? One is the artificial narrow intelligence idea, and the other one is the AGI, the artificial general intelligence idea. The narrow intelligence, what we see around us, and that's what we actually are taking a domain specific, task specific thing, using data to train a model to go do it. AGI is more the pipe dream for the researchers. I mean, that's the moonshot of AI, I call it, right? So it's needed. You need that vision because that drives a lot of innovation bottoms up across multiple facets. But it causes that Terminator paradox or fear. That is awesome. So, let me let's go a little bit deeper on the future of coexisting machines and humans and stuff, right? Maybe draw some ideas from Terminator Paradox, right? How in a world where semi-automated or automated decision systems will coexist with humans, right? How do we prepare our children? What kind of skills do they need, right? I mean, obviously, they don't need to know Fourier transforms unless they are writing machine learning code, right? So tell us, a little bit about how you think about what kind of skills are needed for the children so that we can prepare to train them for that.
Yeah, I believe if we make a exercise of futurism for the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to start to be
Mhm.
crazy today because the pace of how things are changing in this due to technology, it's really bigger than we can have an imagination here. But for sure, we need to do something to prepare our kids because this is our job as parents, for example, but not
Mhm.
that considering this topic. So I'm trying to understand that our kids in the future, they will grow in an environment where a lot of tasks that we and you and me do today, this are really will be really automated anyway because it's the nature of this technology. So we're going to have a new workforce that we will doing new things that are really not existing today because the existing tasks that we have today are will be automated. So how to prepare these kids, I think, these people for this new workforce, it's really to focus on where I believe that it will not possible really for the at least the AI that we are talking here today to automate. There are things that are really still very human, and we talk about this every day with my peers, with my colleagues, with my family. So there are we each one of us there are special characteristics of human that it will not be automated by AI. And we need to point to this. But then we have a problem here. Uh, it's must this kind of human center should be also be prioritized by the schools, by the educational system. Because I see a lot of situations where the educational system today are really to fight against the automation making people smart enough to automate better. This, I think, it's a wrong way
Do,
to go. We
do you
must to
think
be more human to be.
so? So do you think it's a let me explore that, because do you think the whole focus on science, technology, engineering, math, like the STEM technologies, is in fact possibly even misguided? Because I mean, we use that approach to go and teach kids more of the same math, which I don't need to know how to do it.
So I think that approach bring us here today. You know, that's why we have so many technological
Yep,
advancements today. Let's consider. Let's
yep,
take from the man in the moon
yep.
to today. This was the approach that bring us today here. But now maybe we are on a new paradigm of a new era for learning and living as a human, because we arrive here. The technology will evolve in a certain way, but humans must evolve in a different way to keep the pace of this. So it's a long discussion. I'm really careful
Absolutely,
when to affirm that our
absolutely.
educational system is completely wrong for the future, but I'm exploring this possibility. This is the point. I'm exploring this possibility because what we bring us here up today, maybe it's not exactly
It
what we
may be necessary, but not sufficient, right? I mean, in the other way, right? I
not
mean, in the other
sufficient.
way,
That's exactly because something has changed. Because let's consider the standard. Let's one example where I want to think the standard software development. It's something that it's will not going to have this kind of the software developed in the next 20 years. We're going to have, or maybe code developed by code, so humans will have a different role on the software development, for example.
sure.
Or and then what's happened, how you if your daughter, my daughter, will be a developer, what kind of developer she will be. So this is something that it's not sustainable for the next 20 years. So we need to start to understand how to train new developers. They maybe the new developers must understand natural language processing before understand to learn a language, a programming program. So there is
No,
change of
no,
paradigms in this moment, and we need
absolutely.
to
I think
talk
we
more
should
about
definitely
it.
explore that a lot more. And you're so right. And I didn't mean to suggest that the approach in STEM is wrong, but I always feel exactly right. It's like, and it's not, I mean, it's this is not a show to be politically correct anyway. So, but that the point that it got us to where we are today, but we have to really rethink what within that should we actually now focus on to prepare the students of the future. And it's fascinating. I think the way you're even describing that example of, look, software will be a part of our lives, but writing code may not be as critical a skill because it can be automated. Now, what can you do? Maybe to check the quality of the code, maybe to understand the interaction patterns, maybe usability or user experience.
Understand the empathy behind your systems or something that really can connect more with the people. So there is a lot of human core activities inside of this, but not what the
It's
way
fascinating. I
we are
think this is
doing today,
definitely
I
a
think.
topic I want to explore with you in the future, right? Future of education. And I fundamentally, I have strong opinions and thoughts there too. And father of two children, two young kids, I do see this world evolving and changing by the way we do it. Let's point it back to you. And you're a data scientist and a business analyst too for a living. What does it take to be a data scientist?
From as I see, as long as I see here, it's really cross skills activities that you cannot really be monolithic, because every day you find different challenges and different aspects of the business that you must to face on. I think uh, you must to know you must to be able to understand what is behind the data that you are tracking, because it's something that you cannot really just take the data by the data. But especially when you are working companies and business, behind that data that you are working, there are people, there are process, there are outcomes, that it's desired outcomes. So you need to have a global view on this. And when I'm trying to talk with young data systems, when I try to coach people, I always point also the way they communicate the value of the data too, because the communication it's a core essential of should be a core essential of data science, because it's not only the elaboration of that, but how you communicate the value that you are getting, this the objectives that you are reaching with your task. So I ask also people to work with me to have a, a focus on how they communicate on the value of data. So, but it's a great science. It's a great area to work. It's a they say that it's the sexy job in the world. Probably, I'm not sure. But it's a great thing to work on data today, because everything we do today it's based on data. This conversation here, it's happened because some algorithms put us together, recommend us our network. It make us our profile seems interesting for each other. It's not magic. It's not something happened that casual work. We are talking here today because there are hundreds of algorithms running in the background that put us together here today. And this is something amazing that provided you by data. So I'm love to work on this.
On that note, I would say like the spectrum, there's data and algorithms putting us in the same room, same profiles and stuff. But the human aspect comes in when I make a decision based on that to say, I'm going to say hello today, right? I'm going to explore and build a friendship here. And so that's where the lines, and that's also the challenge growing into a future where how far in that spectrum is the machines or the algorithms going to take over, and then the less and less impact of human. And some, lower quality decisions you can let the algorithms do, but some higher quality, more impactful decisions is where you need to find that blend. Don't you think?
That's why absolutely important this kind of conversation. Partially, it's answer your question, previous question. Okay, but what's going to leave for humans to do when everything will be automated? Okay, you get a lot of algorithms running, but you took the decision to invite me to this conversation. So this conversation is happened for your decision. So any humans must keep control of the end decisions for this, whatever automation level we reach. So this is absolutely. But I read recently. We watch. I think everybody watch a very interesting a
Hmm.
documentary Netflix about algorithms. And one I think I bring from that documentary is okay. First step, be aware. You must to be aware what's going on. Second step, be on control whenever you can. But you can avoid the automation. You can avoid algorithms running great part of your life, because my last affirmation, everything is data today. We as human, we cannot really, we are living in a data society, and we are not really good as humans to really deal with the amount of data we are surrounded by today. So we need these tools. But what's important is be aware and be in control whenever you can. So it's this is I try to talk with my daughters. Okay, you are playing this game, but let's talk about what's going on here, how it's going, a little bit it's work. What you're taking some decisions here. I'm trying to give them tools to be aware of what's going on, and then they take the decisions.
Going back to your role as a data scientist, what are some of the challenging or even interesting use cases that you've actually worked for, either at in your current job at Volvo or before in the past? Tell us some good stories.
I think I have more challenge than interesting stories. So because the job it's challenge anyway because there are diff- we are on in my job today we are on a digital transformation phase where we are leaving the way we used to do the things that we do very well for the last 100 years, and we are trying to do now different the, the same things but in a completely different way, in a digital and automated way. And what's happening, this is a beautiful thing for any company today, but in the middle,
Yeah.
you have people and process
Mhm.
that really must be integrated on this new. And then the chaos and the hell comes exactly on this middle. I am the guy that it's exactly in this middle, trying to digitalize process, trying to automate process, and trying to give the right literacy about machine learning and AI for thousands of people that until yesterday they were not really on this thing like AI, machine learning, computer vision. So this is really challenge. But my biggest challenge in my personal daily activities, it's really to engineering the value of AI and explain this for people. Because if I have 100 people in my trainings, I have 100 different opinions about what is AI. This is the biggest challenge that I have because if you guys, 100 people, have different 100 different opinions, how can I set the expectations on here about what we're going to do? So we need to put everybody on the same page. I do a lot of work on this with data literacy, AI literacy, breaking down the very complex concepts of machine learning in very affordable, simple questions. And then people start to engage. When people start to engage, my team starts to develop applications that solve business problems. This is the life cycle of my work. And I love to do this, but there's a lot of challenges. For example, my company, it's really a great company to have great products, but in the layers and layers of years of IT stack, putting layers and layers of it, there's a lot of legacy. There's a lot of process that I've been doing manually that could be digitalized tomorrow, but we don't have the right way to do because there's a lot of legacy on systems and process and on people legacy. So it's a challenge. That's the I believe that's a big challenge for create, transform companies that has a history in companies that's in our AI driven company. It's all this process that we need to go through. If tomorrow I quit my job and open a startup, probably it's going to be AI driven startup from day zero. 100 years of company, we have
I
a
can so
lot of
imagine. And
challenges to
you
face.
know, and it's you're not alone. Your company's not alone, right? A lot of folks, a lot of the large organizations are going through it. I like how you said, you know, you want to level set, and part of that, a lot of that comes through education and making sure you demystify and simplify it. Let me put you on the spot and ask, you know, for the viewers here, define AI. Get us all on the same page. What is artificial intelligence?
It's really challenging for everyone has one definition. If you go to Google, you have billions of definition of AI. It comes 1 billion something there. My definition of AI, it's a technology, a set of technology that's really engage and leverage data that we collect. And doesn't matter what time, what kind of data, to really give you insights of that and support you on the decision. This is what my focus for AI. Every one of you, you have your definition. Your audience has thousands of definition. My definition is get the data, elaborate this with this technology and get the insights. Inside of this definition, there is a lot of things to do, but I like to simplify this on on a tool that really support my company to
That's very
take
good.
better decisions on the road.
What is, outside of the dealing with legacy processes and technologies and people in general, what problems in the enterprise are that can be solved with AI but still are not solved in your opinion?
Yeah, we are. It's there's a lot of opportunities for AI in an enterprise. I believe that it's the future of any company that sell products. So any 199% of the companies in the world can leverage AI. But for example, automation of people interactions has been doing with chatbots today, but it's really more complex than a lot of consultants today want to tell you that it is. It's really complicated to really run completely a company only with chatbots. You cannot really think about. There are levels, there are mm, grades, there are shades of the communication that we are not there yet. So we are working on this, but there are still, for example, automation of really safety in a company, that's and cybersecurity. But let's come with safety, physical safety. It's something that a lot of companies are working. My team is working on using artificial intelligence and computer vision on enhanced safety on production, but it's easy to say, but it's really hard to do because there are regulations, there are limitations, the threshold of errors are really, really short, low, because you don't want to hit someone in his head because your algorithm will only reach 99% of accuracy on object detection. So the challenges are really fast. So there are several challenges that we need. Some challenges are related on how to enhance the quality of what you are doing, but other challenges are really how to really make this what you are doing more safe or more accurate. So we are working, and sometimes we don't have the right data that we should to make it happen, and then I think we have.
Awesome, awesome. I got some quick rapid fire questions. What is one thing that 10 years ago you thought was not possible or sounded or looked impossible, and it's happening already today because of AI?
Well, man, if 10 years ago you tell me that a 30 tons truck will be running on the street completely automatically without a driver, I will say that you are crazy. Now, I'm privileged to say that it's happening, and it's gonna happen a lot. And it's absolutely thanks to the evolution of AI in the last years. I'm really fascinated about autonomous vehicles. Small cars, small robots, and big buses and trucks running on the roads. I'm really fascinated about this.
Awesome. Give me a story of how we will be interacting with AI in 100 years.
Well, uh, it's really challenge because AI is changing every 5, 10 years. So if you look 10 years ago, but I believe that in 100 years, uh, we also will not be in the Earth anymore. We're going to be really exploring on other planets around the universe. So I think one really real great role of AI in this will space exploration. So I think in maybe not 100 years because we're going to do this faster and faster, but the
Sure.
next 20 years we're going to see AI exploring physically other planets, and it's going to be a great moment to be alive.
Awesome, awesome. No, that's great. Um, if AGI, artificial general intelligence, what do you, you're the one who wrote about the Terminator Paradox. So, what do you believe about AGI? Is it possible? Is it going to happen anytime soon? And what worries you?
But in my life, one thing that I learned to say is anything is impossible. Everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. I really believe that we are going on that direction. We are far. If I compare the most advanced AI that I ever see today with my young 1 year and a half daughter, I take my daughter. She's really learning a lot of things here every day that yesterday she was absolutely not able to do, and nobody teach her. And she's learned absolutely a lot of tasks, different tasks in every day. So, and today we are not even the best chatbots we develop today. They are not. They are dedicated to insurance, but you cannot use them in HR, for example. So they are really specific AI today. But if you give me 10, 20, 30 years, I think that we are going in the direction that all this knowledge that we are doing, all this research that we have today, will be combined in a way that this hyper specialization that we have today will be really covered by this. For example, today we are far. I say I'm amazed by autonomous vehicles, but guys, when you take your driver's license, you drove for 20, 40 hours and you get your driver's license. Autonomous vehicles needs millions of miles of training to get close to your level of driving. So
Yeah.
we have a huge gap still to run. But let's see. Maybe give me time.
So, one last question, actually, two last questions. One is, if you're going back to your role as a father and how you're actually trying to prepare your children for the future, if anybody listening to this show is a parent, where do they start? How do they go about preparing themselves and their kids for the future?
I can talk to myself as a parent that I try to understand the technology today to explain to my I'm trying to I try to I'm not trying to grow them as engineers. I'm trying to grow them as human that understand the technology. They are aware of the good and the not good concerns of AI, of technology, robotics, etc. You cannot avoid. Your children will grow on this world, in this automated world. So it's better if they grow aware and conscious and with ethics about these technologies that they're going to use. So this is the role of parents. Teach the ethics of technology, and then the kids will find their way.
This is awesome. Jair, also, you also have 3 books or 4 books on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle.
Amazon, everything is on
Uh,
Kindle. I think every the most important at this moment is the AI robots and codix, and of course the AI Terminator Paradox is a book that I love to write because it's really touched something about like empathy and fears that I believe we need to talk about this when it comes to technology.
Jair, this has been fascinating. How can the listeners or viewers connect with you on the internet? Where can they find you?
Well, the best place to meet me it's on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. I share articles, my articles, and most important articles that I read about AI in the business aspect point of view. And LinkedIn is the best place to meet the best people in this industry. So that's absolutely the place to go.
Awesome, Jair. This has been fascinating. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll be in touch.